We are destroying our environment by polluting the land, water, and air. Residents around my housing area carry out open burning of rubbish. I also see litter in the playground, and when I go there will be lots of plastics there. Schools were forced to close due to a river pollution which caused difficulty in breathing for some students.
Pollution, burning fossil fuels, and open burning. These have all triggered climate change, soil erosion, poor air quality, and undrinkable water. Where I live, I often see people burning their trash and leaves out in the open, and it fills the entire neighborhood with smoke. Even around my school, there are a lot of people who burn their rubbish, or even just throw it in the drains, and it clogs up the entire drain.
On a day-to-day basis, I often witness pollution at a much smaller scale. For example, I have seen people discard plastic waste, or any waste in general really, by the roadsides, in the drains, parks, rivers, lakes, and most unfortunately, even public beaches and seasides. And this often reminds me of the poor sea creatures that live under such conditions and are injured because of human actions. Apart from that, emission of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide through open burnings at fields or even parks, and heavy vehicle usage happens more often than I can remember these days. And this largely contributes to the climate change that we are experiencing today, and also poor air quality.
Like now in my place here, we have a lot of this open burning. There's about 14 houses or families in my row. And what most of them do, because it's open space in front, so we've got a lot of leaves and all that. So a few of the families in the evenings or mornings, they sweep, they collect their leaves, and then after that what they do is they burn. They're actually all very good neighbors. In fact, because I have a dog and they don't bother about the dog, so I don't want to disturb or go more into telling no, you cannot burn. So I just leave it, hopefully that they will realize that this is what they're doing is actually air pollution.
What we can do is we can use reusable bags and containers and carpool whenever possible. We can also avoid open burning and use reusable energy sources like solar or wind. It's all about making a commitment to changing our daily practices until they become habits. For instance, I use a reusable water bottle and Tupperware whenever I take my food to school, and my family carpools whenever we can. We also use natural fertilizer for our plants rather than chemicals. Even though this doesn't sound like much, it actually reduces our carbon footprint by a lot.
I believe we could achieve great environmental goals as a society, specifically as individuals, if we pay more focus on the 3 R's. Now, this slogan has been around for the longest time, and it's nothing new. But if every one of us could use recycled bags when we're out grocery shopping instead of using the plastic bags provided, or if we could use our own Tupperware if we're out tapawing food for lunch or dinner, or maybe even use a hand towel instead of heavily relying on tissue paper, especially for someone like me who has sinus and needs tissue like 24/7. If we could all contribute in little ways like this, I'm sure it would make drastic changes to nature in the long run. Besides that, online businesses are fast becoming even more popular in today's age. And if small business owners like you and me have the means to invest in biodegradable or environmentally friendly materials for package wrapping and such, I believe it would do Mother Nature very much of a favor.
In my opinion, I will not use plastic bags. I will use reusable bags so that I don't have to use plastic bags. I'll collect old newspaper and I'll give it to the old newspaper uncle. We must practice to reuse, reduce and recycle in our daily lives. It's not hard to stop using straws and to use less paper. We can save water by closing the tap when not in use and not littering into the rivers and seas. Malaysians can also volunteer for community cleanup projects in their area to maintain the cleanliness for the environment. I also have volunteered for a cleanup at school, and I collected papers and plastic.
To do better, I think each one of us, we must have that mindset to want to make the change. Okay, it must start from the me, or rather the us. We have to do that little part from ourselves, If we expect the bigger nation or a group of society to do something, I think we're going to see something very slow. But if each one of us do one small bit in our part, I think that'll go very, very far. So all of us, in fact, if we can plant that into ourselves to do one small bit to make the environment a better place, maybe if each person just do 1% for the world, it's going to go very far.
Back in college days, I often bought a lot of canned drinks and bubble tea from nearby shops to keep myself alive during classes. And instead of using the plastic straws that the shop provides, I would always bring around a set of stainless steel straws, and I'll put them to use in such situations. Besides that, whenever me and my family would order food delivery or takeaway from a restaurant, we would wash the container that comes with the food, and we'll keep them away nicely so that we could use it to store food stuff in the future. And since we don't use the plastic utensils that come with the takeaway, we would always return the utensils to the restaurant.
At home, I will separate plastics and newspapers, and I will give it to the old newspaper man. When I'm out, I will bring my own reusable bags, and I'll try to avoid using plastic bags. At school, I had a reuse, reduce and recycle program. It made me realize that it protects the environment, the ecosystem, wildlife, and it also saves energy. If nothing is done, our surroundings is filled with plastic, and that is because plastic takes a long time to decay. In my church, I helped to clean the church surroundings. We also had an annual Go Green campaign to raise awareness for our environment among our parishioners. We also must practice to recycle, to reduce waste.
One time, my class at school did this thing for an entire week where we had to turn whatever trash we had into household items like flower pots or hangers. This project actually made me realize that there are many things that we waste, but it could still be very useful. I make it a point to reuse whatever containers we have rather than just throw them away. We use biscuit tins to keep stationery, and if there's any way we can restore or remodel any of the clothes we have, we'll do it. Otherwise, we donate the old clothes.
I have a big bag, so I keep all my recyclable things inside there. When the old folks, the old folks lorry or the truck comes, they collect. So, I help in that way. And then when I go out to do groceries or marketing or anything like that, I get my own recyclable bags. And if at any one time I forget, or I don't have, or I don't take one, so I will tell them put all into one plastic, small plastic one. So I'll come back with only maybe 2 plastic bags. Then the other thing is my old towel, they become my doggy's towel and my doggy's bed. And then like old tablecloths, old bed sheets, you don't want this. I lay it down where my kitchen is. So after the cooking, it's so much easy. You don't have to mop. You just fold it and keep. Maybe you wash it. I wash it maybe once a month or so because it's just oil. Old t-shirts, old singlets, the children's singlets, keep them to use for washing of cars. I mean, everything you can find ways of making use of it. This I learned from my mother. She will all the onion skin, potato skin, whatever she doesn't want, she put it in the bucket. And then her rice water, her dal water, her vegetable, all the water that she washed, she pours into that small little bucket. She keeps it there for a few days. That water, she pours it for her plants. I've never seen her buy any budger or anything like that. So this was her budget, and her plants grew very well. Okay, this is a very good question, which I love, okay? And what I would like to see is children playing in the rain, running out putting their hands and letting those raindrops fall into their hands and putting their face up. I used to do that. I just wish that nowadays the children will be able to experience that. And then looking and seeing children stamping on puddle of water, making paper sampans after this heavy flow or heavy rain, they just have to let go of this paper sampan and it'll just flow. It's nature lah. Just going through playing with those things. And then also nice to see little children dirtying themselves, playing with soil, digging, planting. And then of course, I'm very sure when they have all this in their hand, you just imagine all on their face. It's a very nice thing to see. Get themselves in touch with nature, in touch with the soil.
In the future, I would like to see people to be more considerate, stop littering, and to stop the usage of plastic. I would like people to take care of the water of our rivers, lakes, and seas by keeping our environment healthy, and it also saves energy used to process and deliver water to our homes and significantly reduces water and wastewater treatment costs, and it will help to reduce our water bill.
I actually hope for a community that uses fully sustainable energy. For example, we could just start using less water and electricity, collect rainwater to water our plants, or keep the room light off in the daytime. Kids who live close to their schools could start walking or cycling to school. And to take it a step further, families that can afford solar panels should install them onto their roofs and start using solar energy instead of just using electricity.
As a youth, I would most definitely love to see bluer skies and lakes and even greener fields in the future. So if we could all save a little bit of electricity, if we could all save just a little bit of aircon, a little bit of fuel, and most importantly, a little bit of our thoughts for the environment and not to act just out of our conveniences, then I have no doubts that better days will come for us in the future.
Shalom, brothers and sisters in Christ. The month of September is a very special month for our common home. 1st September has been instituted in the Catholic Church as the World Day of Prayer for Creation. And it opens to the seasons of creation, which lasts until October 4th, that is the Feast of St. Francis. This is the time for us to renew our personal participation as custodians of the planet Earth, entrusted to us by the Creator. Today, more than ever, the planet Earth needs our prayer as she is having a viral fever that is rising out of control. She is so sick now that we need to pray for her healing. As custodians, you and I must invoke God's help for her protection. Pope Francis is like the head consultant doctor, laying down a plan to treat the ailing planet in a holistic way, documented in a 184-page encyclical called Laudato Si Miseriore. Now, Pope Francis invites us to engage in a dialogue with all people in this world about the changes the earth is undergoing. He says, the problem is rooted in humans' lack of love for others. We have become self-centered and willfully ignorant to the consequences of our destructive actions. He used the analogy of squeezing an orange to describe what we ought not to do to the planet Earth. Now, with information and technology, we all already know about climate change, as you have heard from our friends who shared earlier in the video. Young and old, we know the consequences of our actions that we have hurt our planet. The gift of God that is entrusted to us is hurt badly. We should not, must not and cannot turn a blind eye to this anymore. Carbon footprint is the greenhouse gases produced by human activities. Gases like the carbon dioxide is poisoning the planet, and its impact will last for hundreds and thousands of years. How do we say we love our neighbor as ourselves when we are leaving a dying planet to our children as a legacy? What to do? Well, to answer Pope Francis' urgent call, we have 3 simple steps. 1. To pray with and for creation. Not just today, not just during seasons of creation, but for the rest of our days. We pray that people will have a loving heart to care for the creation. Number 2, to live more simply, bringing mindfulness in all we do and always being conscientious to the need of the voiceless, including the poor, marginalized, nature, and all living things. Number 3, to advocate for the protection of our common home, to speak out even when the dialogue is uncomfortable, to voice it out that the earth needs our care. Blow the trumpet. The earth is on fire. Yes, indeed, it is on fire. In response to the Holy Father's call in Laudato Si, Creation Justice Commission has been established in Malaysia as an outward sign that the Church cares for the earth. While CJC brings the message that in climate change, the new norm is to live zero carbon, zero waste, you and I are the actual stewards of God's creation. And so you and I must do our part in making sustainable living as our lifestyle. Now, be part of CJC's FIRE campaign in making gradual, permanent change in our lifestyle. The first year was to implement use less electricity. You can begin today if you have not started yet. In September 2021, we launched the second theme of cutting down meat, dairy, and food waste. Look up CJC in your diocese or parish. Contact us, follow us, and join us, and be part of our prayer in action for the care of the common home. God bless.